Next up, we've got Ottawa Columbus, 11-12 on the rotation here. We've got Columbus minus 230 in this game, laying a big price, 5.5. The total shaded to the over, minus 115 to minus 120. Columbus is really starting to pick up their game. No question about that. They have played really good as of late. They're on a win streak going into this game. So Ottawa, to me, coming in at the heels off a overtime victory last night against the Dallas Stars, who just haven't been able to really put things together on their current road trip. And Ottawa's been a tough out. So that would be the one hesitation I'd have with going Columbus puck line here in this game. Ottawa's battled night in and night out. They've been in games. They beat Tampa earlier this week. They beat Dallas last night. Ottawa has not folded the tent and gone home. The effort's been solid from this hockey team. The offense has been good. I mean, you look at this team offensively, they're scoring goals night in and night out. They're getting 3, 4, 5 goals on a regular basis as of late, this Ottawa Senators team. So you've got to like that they have not, for a team that's not going into the playoffs, their effort really hasn't waned. They've been competitive. They've relished the opportunity to play spoiler in a lot of these games against playoff-bound teams. So, you give Guy Boucher a lot of credit for at least holding the room together enough to say we're going to not make a mockery of ourselves down the stretch and tank and just try to lose games and just not give 100% effort. The effort has been there for the most part for this Ottawa Senators team during the time that they've known for weeks now that they've been out of the playoffs, and they're actually riding a nice 3-game win streak. You can beat Florida, Tampa, and Dallas in consecutive games like the Ottawa Senators have. You're in pretty good shape. This is another game I'd consider an over the total look in this game. You look at Columbus, they have just surged offensively during their 6-game winning streak. 3 goals or more in all 6 games, 4 goals or more in 5 of those last 6 games for Columbus. No surprise, they've trended over as a result. They're 6-7-2. To the over in their last 9 games, this Blue Jackets team. So this is a game I'd look over the total, and Columbus is feeling it offensively right now. I'm not sure that Ottawa still defensively has got their issues. Anderson and Condon have been erratic up and down. So I think we could get this game over that 5.5 plateau with the Senators and the Blue Jackets tonight. Next game up, we've got Montreal, Toronto, 13-14. Toronto minus 220. Total 6 shaded to the under in this game. Habs and Leafs hockey night in Canada. Okay, I guess that's the reason to watch, but it's certainly not to watch this Montreal team. That's for sure. It's not been we talked about this on and on ad nauseum, how tough it's been for Montreal. No question about that. They actually played a spirited, decent effort against Pittsburgh the other night, but not good enough still. Once Pittsburgh turned it on, Montreal had no stops. Nothing in them to stop Pittsburgh at that point as they roar back to win 5-3. And here we go again with Claude Julien here with Montreal. Antti Niemi's been fine for you guys. He's played actually pretty well. And now here I'm seeing Charlie Lindgren back in the net. Charlie Lindgren's been horrible every start recently, and yet we're going with him in the net tonight. I don't get it against a rival. If there's one game you want to show up for and maybe beat, maybe it's your arch rival. Maybe it's your nemesis, the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey night in Canada. Give your team a damn chance, will you please? Charlie Lindgren tonight, I don't get that. Niemi has been the better option lately. He's consistently shown that in recent starts for the Montreal Canadiens, and yet here we go again with Charlie Lindgren in that. So again, Toronto should get some goals now that I see that. But the question is, can Montreal get the job done offensively as well tonight? Toronto's off a win against Buffalo 5-2. Pretty good win there. They beat Dallas the night before in a shootout. So good stuff from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they've been able to do it with Frederik Andersen banged up. He got injured in the Dallas game, left that game. Curtis McElhinney had to start against the Buffalo Sabres the other night when they got that victory. So again, his status up in the air right now with Frederik Andersen for this game. Hasn't been confirmed. I'm seeing Curtis McElhinney as probable goalie. So you just might see Curtis back in net again tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he's been good. He actually has been really, really good. I mean, you laugh and you say, oh, Curtis McElhinney, and in years past, he's been horrible. There were years in Columbus, he was just, every time you saw him in net, you either bet the other team or you bet the over. That's not the case anymore. 9-4-1, 2.25 goals against, and a .931 save percentage for Curtis McElhinney this season with the Leafs. I mean, it's very difficult to find a backup goaltender that, for the most part, has been steady, has given you a chance, has been reliable for the most part. Curtis McElhinney's been that for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So he might be in net tonight, and if he's in net tonight, based on his recent play, it's not something to be overly concerned about for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So interesting game. I'm not going to be involved here in this game. Most likely, it's just, again, you get no value right now with Toronto, and you get even less value a lot of nights trying to bet against Montreal. But again, I don't understand the Lindgren situation at all. This is the one game you should be actually trying if you're Montreal to win. If you're the coaching staff, give your team the best shot. I don't think Charlie Lindgren does that for the Montreal Canadiens. Andrew, this is on your card, Habs and Leafs. I know the Habs have frustrated you, pissed you off, make you want to throw stuff off the out the window, I'm sure, all season long with how much of a struggle it's been. But what do you see happening here in this rivalry matchup tonight?
Well, Ian, I think the funniest part about this game is the fact that after all of the stuff that's happened between these two teams and, the difference between these two teams right now, how much better this Leafs team is, they have both backups in, and they're completely getting dominated from the backup goalie matchup. I mean, look, I think that Lindgren's like a decent goalie. I think he's obviously deserves to be where he is. Don't get me wrong whatsoever, but I think that they think that he's this goalie that can step into these big spots and these big games. And like you mentioned, Ian, no matter what anyone says, I think that here in Canada, Saturday night, hockey night in Canada, Leafs and Habs, this is a big game. I don't care what anybody says. This is a game that, like to use a phrase that Dana likes to use, certain games players wake up for. Certain games are marked in your calendar. And, whether people want to believe it or not, I think there is certain motivation for certain games. And I think that, it is kind of laughable to look at this, guys, but Montreal is 7-0 in the last 7 meetings in Toronto. So if that gives anybody any hope for the Habs, I can tell you something right there. But look, in all seriousness, I look down at this Montreal lineup every day. I look to see what Claude Julien's looking at and what Bergevin is really giving him to work with, and it's not a whole lot whatsoever, guys. I mean, let's face it. Like, I think Brendan Gallagher is a good player. He's a hardworking guy, but he is not a first-line right winger. He is not a guy that you can rely on to go out there and be that all-star for you. Essentially, I mean, you look at this lineup and you really think, like, oh my God, are those guys really their top players? And again, I'm not trying to be on here I'm not going to sit here and just crap on my favorite team and crap on this team. But for me, I will not second guess myself taking the plus 145 with the Leafs puck line. I think this is going to be a straight up dominance. This is a team that is on a complete different level. They're going to be in a good playoff position. They're probably going to take care of the Bees this year, I think, in the playoffs. And like you mentioned, Ian, I think that last game, Curtis McElhinney came in off the bench and literally looked like he's a starter. I mean, he played like very, very comfortable game. He looked very comfortable between the pipes. He looked like he belonged there. That was where he was supposed to be. And that's what a good team does. That's what a good team is capable of doing. I mean, Freddie Anderson goes down. He says to the team, goes to the coach, look, I don't feel comfortable. And he knows. I mean, a couple of years ago, you wouldn't be able to tell me Curtis McElhinney would come in and kind of steal the show or keep things going for this Leafs team, but he did that. And just looking at some of these stats here, guys, in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs, 5-1 in their last 6 games following a win, 4-0 in the last 4 after allowing 2 goals or less in a previous game. And I think that right now the Leafs defense is their biggest thing right now. We all know that this Leafs team can score. That's their biggest difference right now. And sometimes I like to pull these stats out, guys, and I know it's kind of boring to say this all the time, but on average for the season right now, Leafs 3.37 goals per game. The Habs 2.56. I mean, they're struggling to score, and if they do, they aren't really the prettiest goals. And I think that the Leafs are going to just absolutely shut this Habs team down. The only thing that could really stop me from hitting this puck line is Lindgren absolutely just standing on his head. But maybe even look towards the over as well. The over has trended quite a bit in this series as well. But just for my official play is going to be the Leafs puck line. I think that it's not going to be an absolute, shellacking. But I think by no means can this Habs team keep up with this Leafs lineup. I mean, even defensively, even the defensive pairings are more talented than some of these offensive guys for the Montreal Canadiens.
All right, there we go. Toronto puck line for Andrew McGinnis.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, drink to that. Exactly. See, he's no biased opinions from the Ice Guys, whether it's Alex with the Hawks or Andrew with the Habs. If they're fadeable, they're fadeable. That's all there is to it. And I mentioned in the chat, and of course, if you're a hockey fan in Canada, there's a chance you're a Letterkenny fan as well. That is a absolutely hysterical show. It is now going on 5 seasons. The 5th season will be the next one. It is hilarious. I implore you to check it out. If you're a hockey fan in particular, you will get so many of the jokes, the one-liners, which are like, it's like fire laughs. It's like one liner every 5 seconds on average on that show. It's absolutely hysterical. It is hilarious. I find it, if you're in the United States, it's on Crave TV streaming service. It's like a Netflix type service in Canada, Crave TV. But if you're outside Canada, there are ways to get it. I implore you to watch that.
Yeah, it's hard to find in the US, but it's definitely worth the search. The earlier seasons are easier to find, but yeah, it's absolutely hilarious show.
It is, and if you're a hockey fan, you'll totally get the jokes, particularly the scenes with the hockey team and the hockey coach. I mean, they are absolutely just piss yourself laughing. It is hilarious. I saw a live show with them in Hamilton this week, and of course, the running gag is how Wayne always introduces himself. So even he comes out to start the show, Wayne, Jared Keeso, with the old robotic pose he always does. He's like, Hamilton, how are you now? And everybody knew what to do. Good. And you? And he goes, not so bad. It's just the typical greeting. So it was absolutely hysterical. That show's great. I implore you guys, check it out. It is hilarious.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.